this. All right, so everyone who has Fusion open, if you want to go ahead and open it up, well, kind of open up a new file, I should say. And we're going to start by changing our active units to inches if they aren't already. So I was just under document settings, hit the little pencil tool next to units, and then you can change units there. We're going to do a simple, I'm just going to copy this little thing I found online. I think this will be a good kind of shaped object for you guys to get used to how to build different individual quote unquote pieces into one full complete piece of furniture. So let's go ahead and start. I mean, let me do this. Let me see if I can like pop this out and put it on a corner or something. I don't know. Okay, so I got just this little image up here. It's a little transparent. It's kind of hard to see, but I don't know how to change the opacity of this while it's like on my screen here. Actually, let me try once real quick. Let's see if I can't figure it out. Ah, okay. All right, it doesn't seem to work, whatever. All right, let's go ahead and get started. We're gonna start by making a sketch. We're gonna click Create Sketch, and we're gonna put this guy on, remember we're keeping in mind our orientation of our view cube here. And we're gonna start by drawing this side profile of this little step stool, whatever it is. I don't even really know what it is. So I'm gonna choose the left-hand side, which is gonna be this side here. So I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna click on this face to start the sketch. And we're just gonna go ahead and start making lines and arcs and piecing together the side profile of this little piece of furniture here. So let's just go ahead and start out by just placing all of our lines. Before we really do much dimensioning, we can do like 1 or 2 dimensions just to get us a rough idea. So let's just say, let's say that this is like a little step stool, which would maybe be, I don't know, about 14 inches high. It's just a tiny little one. So for my first line, I'm gonna do 14 inches. And I'm just making sure that it's perfectly vertical. You'll notice that this angle measurement's 90 degrees. I'm gonna hit enter, 14. And then we're gonna do one line segment along the bottom. And let's make that 18. And we're gonna hit enter. And I actually wanna shorten this a little bit. I'm gonna double click on this, this dimension, the 14-inch dimension. And let's make this 10 inches. I think that seems a little more properly scaled here. Cool. So we're just going to keep going along. I'm going to press L to bring my line tool back if I hit escape to drop it. I'm going to start on this top left point. I'm going to click once. I'm going to place another, I'm going to click again here. Let's do, it's just defaulting to 11 inches there. That's fine. And then I'm just going to hit this check mark, finish that line. I'm going to do another line. That's going to be this line coming up this edge here. So we're going to go from the bottom right point. I'm going to click once. I'm going to place another one. Let's go 4 inches-ish. I'm not dimensioning these guys yet. We can down the line. And I'm just going to hit escape to drop the tool. Okay, so I got kind of like a rectangle missing a corner. We're going to go ahead and we're going to add this curvature in, this arc. So we're going to drop down create. We're going to go to arc and click on 3-point arc. And then I'm going to click 1 point. I'm going to click this other point, and then I can place my last point somewhere in the middle here, like put it there. Everyone here, anyone need a second to catch up? We've all got this shape, kind of a rectangle without a corner. Cool, I'm gonna keep moving. What's that?
What kind of arc?
I used the 3-point arc. So under create arc, 3-point arc, it's the default. Okay, so I'm gonna use what's called a construction line. So if we look at this shape, right, we have kind of the 2 little feet that it has here. This is always a good thing to think about when you're making furniture. Let me open this up in this tab here. So floors aren't always perfectly flat, and so you always want to have some kind of smaller feet for any furniture you're doing, chairs, whatever. You can, if you really want a look that looks like you have a big flat edge on the floor, there's ways to kind of fake that while still giving your piece of furniture like a little bit of kind of individual feet. So like, you'll see this pretty often on furniture. You'll see a little arc just to make sure that your furniture can lay flat regardless of how flat your actual floors are. So we need to make this. So I'm gonna go back to my Fusion here, and the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna convert this bottom line to a construction line, because we don't actually need this full line in its entirety. So I'm gonna click on it, and I'm gonna press X on my keyboard. And you're gonna notice that's gonna make the line a dotted line, and it will kind of remove the fact that it reads this as a solid shape here. Okay, now we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna draw in those little feet. So I'm gonna press L for my line tool, and I'm just gonna come over, let's say 3 inches from the bottom left corner, and I'm gonna do the same from the bottom right, and we're just following along this dotted construction line. And then we're gonna click on one of those. We're gonna come up maybe 2 inches, and then over. And I'm gonna go a little past where we need to be. So our point ends here. We want this to end here, but I'm just gonna go a little over just to be safe. We'll trim this in a second. So I placed this point a little farther to the right than where this line will go. Because we're just gonna go ahead, we're gonna press L again to draw another line segment coming from this point up here. And so now you filled everything in, but you have this little tail hanging off here. So I'll do it all once more real quick. So I just created a couple line segments. I went up 2 inches, and then I went over, and I went farther than I needed to, and then came up from this one and teed right into that line that we just did. Now I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna use my trim tool. It's your scissors up in the top center. We're going to click on that, and we're just going to click. Once this highlights red, that's showing me what it's going to trim off. I'm going to click once and delete that little tail end. Is everyone with me? Everyone's good? Cool. All right, now we just need to do the rounding. So we're going to use our fillet tool. This is our sketch fillet. And so I'm going to click on this. It's right next to your scissors up in your top bar. And then I can just click on one, and then don't change any dimensions yet, because this tool works where you have to input all of your selections first and then input the size. If you click on one, then input the size, then try and click on more selections, it doesn't work. So click on everything you want filleted first. In this case, it's just those 2 points. If ever Fusion's giving you trouble with that and like not letting you click a corner, you can click on 2 edges and it will fill it where they meet. So I'm going to do that for both of them. And then I'm just going to click and drag this arrow around until it looks about right. I think that looks pretty good to me, which ends up being 1.75-inch radius for that curvature. So I'm going to hit enter, and I've just radiused that corner there. All right, let's go ahead and just make this little rectangle in here. This one's going to be pretty easy. It's using tools that you guys already know that we've just used. We're going to use our 2-point rectangle tool, and we're going to go ahead and just place this somewhere floating roughly where we want it to be, like so. And then we're going to use a couple dimensions here. So let's start and lock everything in place. So right now you should have your outer line, 1, 2, 3, 4, like all of these should be white, but then these will be blue, and this and the rectangle will be blue. That's okay. We're going to dimension those right now. That will fully constrain them. So we're going to use our dimension tool. I'm going to click on sketch dimension up here. You can also press D on your keyboard. And we're going to click on this edge here, and we're going to set the height of this from the origin point, bottom left here. So I've clicked one, then clicked the other, and then I'm going to click to place my dimension, and I'm going to put in 2 inches, and then hit enter. So that's in place. Let's go ahead and dimension the width of these feet here. So what you'll notice is because you have an overlapping construction line, this dotted line, and this, it might be hard to select the right one. You can always click and hold, and then it'll pop up this little menu, and then you can hover over and choose what it is that you're wanting to select. So in this case, I'm wanting to select just the sketch line that's this line segment and not the full length of this. So I'm going to click on this one, and I'm going to place that. I'm going to do 3 inches. I'm going to do the same on this other side. If I'm struggling to click the right one, I can just click and hold and click on the correct one, place my dimension, and input 3 inches. Does everyone follow? You should have the bottom, this shape here should all be completely black lines or completely white lines. If there's blue lines here, that means you're missing one of these dimensions, whether it's the radius dimension, these 2 dimensions, or this height dimension. Cool? Okay. We're going to keep dimensioning. We're going to go this top edge of this rectangle here from this top edge of the side of the stool. So I clicked one, clicked the other. I'm going to place it over here, and I'm going to do this 1.75. I'm going to do the same for the side edge from the side edge. Do 1.75. And then the bottom edge of it from this line here. Also going to do 1.75. And then just for continuity's sake, this last one we're going to do this edge here to the point here at the top of our arc. And we're going to do 1.75. And you'll notice that this is still blue. That's because the length of this line segment is not fully dimensioned yet. So you can kind of play with this and figure out roughly what looks right to you. I think this looks somewhat like what I'm looking for at this length here. So now I can go ahead and dimension the length of this top line here. I'm going to press D, click on that line segment, click again, and we're going to do 11 inches for the top. Okay. Let's go ahead and fillet the corners of this rectangle. So we're going to use our sketch fillet tool again. I'm going to select that, and then we're going to click each and every one of the points, each of the corners of that, I should say. And I kind of like the default. I think I'm going to leave that at 1 inch. So I'm just going to hit enter, and I've filleted all of these corners of the rectangle. Cool. up this sketch here. So last things to do are just about dimensioning this arc here. So first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to use my dimension tool. I'm going to go ahead and dimension this line segment here to be, let's do 4 inches. And then I'm going to dimension this arc here. Just click on the arc and then click to place your dimension. Maybe 7 inches, let's see. Yeah, 7 looks about right. So ideally you have all black, or in my case white lines, and like a mark of like you've done a perfect job is if you drop down your sketches tab up in your browser tree, if you see a little red lock icon, that means you've nailed everything. If you don't, it's not the end of the world. Getting to a point where like you get it right every single time, it just takes a lot of practice in 3D modeling. But if you're unsure, but you see a red lock icon, you nailed it, you're good. That just means everything here is fully constrained. Nothing is in any sort of limbo where, you know, like if this dimension wasn't dimensioned here, then I lose my lock icon and it's just a pencil because this can move around. Whereas if I have everything fully constrained, it's locked because everything's locked in place. I can't move it around. Okay, so we got the side profile of our little stool here. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna finish sketch. And then remember, we're clicking our mouse wheel down and holding shift on our keyboard and then moving the mouse to orbit around, right? View things in 3D, and then if you don't hold shift, it'll pan. And we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna extrude this. So this is right on the center line. This is on our origin right here. If we wanna make our piece of furniture centered over the origin, we can do that. In this case, I'm just gonna keep it simple. We're not gonna center it over the origin. It's not a huge deal, especially for this little short club, you know, session of learning Fusion. If you wanna continue with Fusion, you know, you wanna have everything perfect, but in this case, not the end of the world. So we're gonna go ahead, we're gonna click on this profile here, and we're gonna extrude that 0.5 inches. Like so, and I'm gonna click OK. So now we got something that looks a lot like our reference here for the side panel, right? Let's go ahead and let's make these like kind of deck pieces here. So we're gonna create another sketch and we're gonna place it on the, you know, whatever side you deem to be the inside face. So I've started a new sketch on the side of our body here. So now we're back in the sketch environment because we started that new sketch. We have all of this geometry you can like click on and interact with. It's been brought into the sketch because we created it on this face of this body here. And we're just gonna go ahead and we're just gonna place a couple rectangles that we're gonna extrude out to be these pieces here. So I'm just gonna press R on my keyboard, or you can click on 2-point rectangle. And then we're just gonna place a couple rectangles roughly in place. We'll dimension these in a second. So I'm gonna click one there, and put one on the back edge, and then one down here. Okay, so we've got 3 rectangles. I'm gonna hit escape on my keyboard to drop my rectangle tool. And then I'm gonna use my dimension tool. So I can press D or I can click on it up here. And we're just gonna go ahead and start dimensioning these. So first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna dimension all these to be 1/2 inch. So I'm gonna click on the short edge here and place my dimension here and do 0.5. Same for all of the other ones, 0.5 and 0.5. So now these are all the correct thickness. Let's go ahead and it looks like these aren't all the way up against this top edge. So we're gonna eyeball that and say, hey, it looks like it's about a ½ inch below that top edge. So I'm going to go dimension from this top edge of this wood panel to the top edge of the side panel. Another 0.5. Same thing for this back edge. We're just going to keep that same dimension. We're going to go this edge to the back side of that and go 0.5. And then this last one, we're going to do, instead of edge to edge, we're going to do this edge to this point here. So we're going to go this top edge to this top point right here and do 0.5. And then we're going to go ahead and we're going to set the width of these and in what relation it's to. So let's start with this front step here. We're going to click on this edge. We're going to click on this same corner point here. We're going to place a dimension up here this time. And let's do 0.5 as well. We'll just keep it simple. So I've got this dimensioned. On this side, the only thing that has yet to be determined here is the width of this panel. We'll do that in a little bit. Let's go ahead and dimension these last few before we do so. So I'm going to do pretty much the same dimension here. I'm going to go from this edge to this point and do 0.5. And then we're going to do this back edge of our top panel to the back edge of our side panel and do 0.5. And then it looks like, from our reference, this back panel here is lower down than the other ones. So we are going to follow that same kind of style here. I'm going to go 0.5 from this edge to the bottom here. And then we're just going to dimension the lengths of all these guys. So I'm going to dimension the length of this part to be, let's call it 6. And then this front one, we're going to dimension to be, let's do maybe 6 as well. Just keep it simple. So we should have 3 rectangles with all of the lines black or white. And ideally, you have a little red lock icon on this side here. So let's see, yeah, so everyone, one thing to kind of to troubleshoot things and look for where you might be missing dimensions or constraints. If you see any white circles, like a white point, let me show you, let me place one. If you see any little points like this floating out in space, that usually will be on the end of a line segment. Just means that that line segment doesn't have a defined termination or intersection with another segment or anything. But don't worry too much about having that little red lock icon. Like I said, that's ideal, but for a class we're doing in a month, it's fine. If anything isn't working, I'm happy to help you out, but we'll kind of know if something's not working. I'm gonna wrap up the last little bits here. If any of you, if it's not perfect, just keep pushing along. You can go back and edit it after the fact. I've got this whole thing recorded again, so we'll post it. I don't know if everyone saw, but it was posted. There's a link to it in the Discord. If you don't have Discord or whatever, just let me know. We'll get you the link. But we're gonna keep moving along here so that we can get designing our actual chairs and not just doing fusion stuff. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna finish this sketch. And so I've got all these rectangles here. I'm gonna use my extrude tool. I'm gonna select each of those rectangles. And we're gonna go, let's say, I'd say 18 looks about right. So one really important thing with this extrusion is that we're not doing a join operation because we want to break this down into its individual panels later down the line. So I'm going to change this to new body. And this will make each of these panels a separate body from this body here. If I'd left that at join, it would keep all of this kind of grouped together under one body, which we don't want. So the most important things here are 18 inches and new body. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna click OK. And so now I've got our panels here. And then I'm gonna go ahead and we wanna mirror this side panel over to the other side. There's a couple ways we can do that. I'll show you the way that I typically do this. I'm first gonna go ahead and I'm gonna click on this body here just once. If you press V on your keyboard, V as in Victor, it will show and hide whatever you have selected. So I'm gonna hide that for now because we're gonna use a mid-plane. So we're gonna go up to construct. We're gonna drop this down here in the top center. And we're gonna go mid-plane. And this waits for you to select two different planes and it'll find the exact mid-plane between them. So we're gonna click on one side and we're gonna orbit around to the other and we're gonna click on the other side. And you'll notice it's kind of ghosting in this mid-plane here. This looks correct. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna click OK. And now I've got a mid-plane floating here. I'm gonna drop down bodies. I'm gonna turn visibility of that side body back on because now we need it. So if anything's hidden and you know are missing it, whatever, always drop down your bodies tool and look for any of the eyes that are shut or not active. And now we're going to use the mirror tool. So I'm going to drop down create. I'm going to go down to mirror here at the bottom. I'm going to click on our side profile here. And then I'm going to tell it up in the top right here, hey, I'm now going to tell you what the mid-plane is, the mirror plane. So I'm going to click select so it knows that I'm about to select the mid-plane. And I'm going to click on that plane we just created. And you'll see it'll ghost it in place. That looks correct to me, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to hit OK. And now we have the other side of our little step stool. Let's go ahead and save real quick. I'm going to hit save. I'm going to save this as step stool. So I've saved mine. Once you've used this mid-plane, you don't really need it anymore. So you can go ahead and you can turn visibility of all construction stuff off, or in this case, I'm going to drop it down and just turn off visibility of that plane. Just by clicking the eye next to it here. And then let's go ahead and I'll briefly show you how we give something a material appearance and do a quick render. So I believe if, are you guys able to select render if you click on design in the top left? Can you give me a thumbs up if you are able to select render? I don't know, you can with a personal account. Cool. We're just going to go to render here. And then this is where we can set appearances and render our stuff. So I'm going to open the appearance library here, this color wheel. And I'm going to look up, let's say, painted. If I look up painted in here, I know that I have some wood textures that are painted, which if we look at our reference here, it looks like we've got kind of a baby blue painted wood. So I'm going to go back to Fusion. I'm going to find this mahogany, looks somewhat similar. So I'm going to download that. Just click the little download icon and then just click and drag, drop that onto those bodies that you want to have that color on. And then we're going to change the top panels to just be a standard wood. So I'm just going to delete that search. I'm going to scroll down to the bottom to wood solid. The wood solid, these textures look better than the one that just says wood. So I've clicked on wood solid and go to finished, and I'm just going to do ash. Actually, that's pretty yellow. I might do maple. Or pine, or whatever you want to do. None of these quite look right. I'm just going to keep it at maple, semi-gloss. I'm going to drag that onto each of those panels. And then one thing that you can always do, let's see. It's not going to let me. There we go. This color is way too bright. You can always edit your colors by right-clicking up in your appearance panel here. I can right-click and edit, and then I can choose a slightly different color that's maybe a little more accurate. So I'm going to go a lot lighter here, somewhere over on this side of the panel, just a softer blue. So I just right-clicked and edited that and picked a softer blue. You can change this to whatever color you want. I'm going to hit done. And then I can go ahead and just click on this little play button for in-canvas render, and it's going to render out what your design might look like in the real world. If you do want to save this, you can either wait until this blue line hits excellent, or if you want it to go past, you just drag this triangle on the bottom here. Or you can render using the teapot. It's pretty self-explanatory. But if you're rendering in Canvas, you'll just wait until this looks reasonable. So mine's still a little pixely, but I'm going to pretend that it looks great to me. I can just hit capture image and save it if I so desire. Yeah, that's everything for this little steps tool. I'll walk around, help you guys wrap this up if you have any more questions about this, and then we can break up into some teams and start kind of sketching up ideas for our chairs. So just if you have any questions about that, just raise your hand, or let me know. I'm happy to answer questions.